Today is going to be a crazy day in New York as the Yankees and Mets open up their 3-game series at 7:05. And oh, by the way, at Madison Square Garden, 8 p.m. tip-off, the New York Knicks have a chance to beat the Boston Celtics and head to the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA. But this is a Major League Baseball podcast, so we are going to focus on the series ahead in the Bronx, and there are a number of major storylines to discuss. So let's break down a little bit about what we're going to see this weekend. The Mets will come in atop the National League East with a record of 28-16, the third best record in the National League behind only the LA Dodgers and the San Diego Padres. The Yankees will come in with the second best record in the American League, tied with the Cleveland Guardians and only behind the Detroit Tigers. So that is going to put us in a very, very interesting scenario here where both teams, sitting with, multiple game leads over their division are coming in here. But that's, it's still mid-May. There's a lot of baseball to go. We're not necessarily talking about standings right now. We're talking about players. And obviously the biggest name player coming into this series for not just for on the field performance, but for everything surrounding it is Juan Soto. You may have heard of him. He played for the Yankees at one point. I don't know if you knew about that, but after signing that monster contract to leave the Yankees to go across town to Queens and to the New York Mets, he will be making his first appearance against the Yankees and a first appearance at Yankee Stadium since making that decision. There are going to be some interesting comments likely thrown at him from the right field bleachers. It's going to be the storyline that dominates. I think it's going to be the storyline that dominates all weekend, but it will be the storyline that's going to dominate that very first game because it is a night game, because it is the first game for Juan Soto back in the Bronx, and because everybody kind of wants to know what the reaction is going to end up being. And, if you've just been following social media, you may think that Juan Soto's having a terrible start to the season. That is not the case. Is he off of his regular pace? Yeah, he is. He looks a little bit closer, not the same, but a little bit closer to the San Diego version of himself when he first got there, that Washington-San Diego kind of combination season back in 2022 when he got traded for that monster trade package. Then he did what he's done the last couple of years. And obviously you can argue, you can look at the 2021 season as the argument, but I would argue that the 2024 season was the best year of his career. That to me is the pinnacle. You can look at what he did in the shortened season, the COVID year. You can look at what he did the year after. If you want to say 2021 in Washington was the best season of his career, when he led the league in WAR, finished second in the MVP race, okay, that's fine. I'll take his 2024 season in New York over that. But either way, he's off to a little bit of a slower start than you would probably like for the amount of money that you've paid him, but he's still been pretty darn good. He's near almost 2 WAR so far this year, 8 homers, 20 runs batted in, 845 OPS, a 143 OPS plus. So it's not like, he's hitting 255, 380 on base. Obviously they're not the gargantuan numbers, last year. His career slash line is let me see if I can do it. I see what it is for his career. I want to see what it was coming into this year. His career slash line coming into the year was 285, 421, 532 with a 953 OPS. That's his career slash line heading into the season. He's obviously off of that pace, but it's not like he's dramatically off of that pace. All of the numbers under the hood say he's still hitting the ball very hard, and he is going to bounce back and put himself in the MVP conversation in the National League likely before the end of the season. But obviously, there's when you sign a contract of that size, when you leave and go across town to face a rival, there's going to be a lot of conversation about you. And, we'll see if he's able to, I hate to say turn it around, just because that's, trying to indicate that he's having a bad start, but turn it around to an MVP level, because he's not playing at MVP level right now. We'll see. And all eyes are going to be on him in this series. Every at-bat is going to be must-see TV, whether he strikes out, gets a hit, hits a home run, no matter what it's going to be must-see TV. And he does hit lefties pretty well still. I mean, he's going to face two lefties in this series. In Game 1, he'll have Carlos Rodon on the mound. In Game 3, Max Fried will take the mound. But we will see what he's able to do in those contests, and when he gets that opportunity to return. And he's going to play in the field some. I know everyone's like, oh, they should put him at DH. They're not going to. I mean, maybe they put him there for a game or so, but and I do believe he's destined for that eventually down the line in New York. But right now he's just going to have to deal with what it takes to be a superstar and to leave crosstown for a rival. You're gonna hear it from the fans. So that is obviously one of the biggest storylines coming into this game. One of the ones that we're going to miss from a reunion standpoint is Clay Holmes, who made the start on Wednesday for the Mets in a loss to the Pittsburgh Pirates, so he will not be here in this series. The Game 1 matchup will be Carlos Rodon versus Tyler Miguel. Griffin Canning versus Clark Schmidt will be the Saturday afternoon game. And then Sunday night baseball, David Peterson, the lefty, against ace Max Fried to close out this series and close out the week with the Yankees having an off day before they start their next series at home with the Texas Rangers. So, Carlos Rodon has had a really strong run lately. That last game got a little shaky for him, but for the most part, for the last month or so, he has pitched really well, and the Yankees are going to need him to play well in this first game. This is going to set the tone. And if you look at what they're able to do so far, I'm taking a look at the lefty-righty splits for the Mets. The Mets hit lefties very well. As a team so far this season, they are hitting 270 with a 794 OPS in their 278 at bats against left-handed pitching this year, and they obviously get two left-handed pitchers in this series. But for the most part, I mean, you look at their slugging is not that far different between the splits here. It's more so the batting averages. They're getting more. They're just getting more singles against lefties in general. But the reality is this is a team that is hitting very, very well, and this is a team that it's a team that's doing a lot of stuff right now. If you want to look at their hitters, Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso are playing at an elite level right now. Lindor is typically a slow starter. He has not been a slow starter so far this year. Already has 9 home runs, 855 OPS so far this year. And then Pete Alonso is tearing the cover off the ball. He already has 25 extra base hits. So 25 of his 50 hits this year are extra base hits, 15 doubles, a triple, 9 home runs. He's hitting .311 right now with an OPS over 1,000. So he is really playing at a really, really high level. And you look at Juan Soto's there as well, and then limited opportunities. They've had some guys that have stepped up for them and had some success, particularly with the power. If you look at like Brandon Nimmo, hitting .226, but he has 8 home runs so far this year. Guys like Brett Beatty has played, has peaked at times, but really, this lineup can be dangerous for anybody in any given game. But right now, you're starting to basically look at their big three is playing extremely, extremely well in Alonso, Soto, and Lindor, who you're going to see at the top of the lineup. You're going to see them 4 times a game, minimum. So that's going to be the biggest test for Yankees pitching. For Yankees hitting, the Mets are doing... we need to talk about what this Mets rotation looks like. So the combination of Clay Holmes, David Peterson, Kodai Senga, Griffin Canning, and Tyler Miguel have been fantastic. All 5 of their starters, their worst ERA, 3.14. That's their worst ERA. Their worst K per 9 is 8.5. Like they are playing and pitching at such a high level right now. So the combination of those 3 guys in addition to, those 5 guys, in addition to the 3 guys with the bats, is really what's leading the Mets charge. And look, this is a great, you wouldn't look at the names, like you look at the names on paper. I say Clay Holmes, David Peterson, Kodai Senga, Griffin Canning, Tyler Megill. They've got a couple starts from Huascar Brazoban as well. But you look at those names and it doesn't hit you as names that are like, oh, okay, like, whatever. And they've been arguably the best rotation in baseball, 1-5. I mean, you look at Clay Holmes, 3.14 ERA. David Peterson, 3.05. Kodai Senga, 1.22. Griffin Canning, 2.36. Tyler Megill, who they're going to start against on later today, 3.10. And all of those guys have made 8 or 9 starts this year. This is not like, oh, these are 3 good starts. It's 8 or, let's do 8 or 9 starts. They have allowed some base runners for the most part. Obviously, more so, the non-Senga pitchers. So they have been able to work through some of the, some base runners here and there. But for the most part, they've been absolutely sensational. And, you start to look at, what their numbers are. Obviously, they're a little bit worse on the road, as you would expect. But their team ERA on the road is 3.25. I mean, that ain't bad. The opponent's slugging, the opponent's OPS on the road, 686. Not horrible. It's better at Citi Field. But they're pitching pretty well everywhere. Now, they are 11-11 on the road here. So that is, compared to 17-5 at home. So obviously they've been just dominant at home. You can catch them a little bit on the road, but for the most part, you look at all their splits and everything else. They've been solid pretty much wherever you can play them. So that's going to be the big challenge for this offense for the Yankees is, you've gotten a lot from Trent Grisham, you've gotten a lot from Aaron Judge, Ben Rice, and Paul Goldschmidt, and you're going to need those 4 players to continue to be your star players. But the concern is going to be is not a lot of people have cracked this Mets rotation, and they haven't done it consistently. Now, I would argue, based on, even though everybody's pitching well so far this year, I would argue you still miss the Mets' 2 best starters. You miss Kodai Senga, and you miss Clay Holmes, your old friend. So, I guess you take some solace in that, even though the entire rotation has been excellent. But this is a scenario where at least you miss those top 2 guys. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Yankees operate their lineups, how both these teams are. There's going to be Saturday could be the really interesting game to me because you have a 7:05 Eastern, a 1:05 Eastern, and a 7:10 Eastern. You're going to see a lot of, even though the Yankees and Mets both had an off day on Thursday, I think you're going to see some different lineups from game 2 compared to game 1 because there are some players that just don't want to play day game after night game, particularly at the catcher spot. I think you're going to probably see Escara for this middle game here for the Mets at catcher. You probably see Austin Wells in the series opener and the series finale. We'll see what the Yankees do. Maybe Goldschmidt sits that middle game as well, knowing that he can come in as a pinch hitter off the bench. So there are a few different ways that the Yankees could mess with their lineups a little bit, and the Mets could as well. But man, I'm really just looking forward to the series. This is going to be a major test for the Yankees, and the Yankees have played well this season against good teams. They have. I'm trying to look up the record against teams above 500, and so far, let me see where we're at here. The Yankees are 15-12. Trying to see if there's anybody. I think that's the best record in the American League. It is the best record in the American League, 15-12. Let me see if it's the best record in baseball. No, the Mets probably have that. Yeah, the Mets are gonna have that and there are some teams in the West that make it interesting. But I said the St. Louis Cardinals on their win streak, 11-8. I have to do the numbers real quick, but the Mets at 20-11 are really strong against above 500 teams, but the Yankees have the best record in the American League at 15-12 against teams above 500. So, 2 heavyweights right now. That's what you want to see, right? You want to see great baseball. You want to see 2 of the best teams, and there's just something about New York versus New York. And obviously, neither team is the other team's biggest rival. You've got the Mets and the Phillies. You've got the Yankees and the Red Sox, obviously. But what's unique about the Subway Series is there's a difference. It's a different type of rivalry for those that live in New York. And what I mean by that, and I know that seems obvious, but what I'm saying is even though, like, if you asked either team if they could just shoot another team into the sun, it would not be each other. It would be the Phillies. It would be the Red Sox. We all kind of know that. I guess there may be some Mets fans that would choose the Braves, but you know what I mean? But for the most part, those are the teams that we would like to yeet into the sun. However, there is something special about the Subway Series because of you have family members that root for the other team. You have friends that root for the other team. You have coworkers that root for the other team. So there's a much more localized, you-know-what talking happening. The bragging rights are way more localized because you're way more likely in New York to be working with a Mets fan or a Yankees fan if you're a fan of the other team than you are a Phillies fan or a Red Sox fan. Well, it's possible. It's not as likely. So there are good friendships. There are families. There are coworkers. There are bosses and employees. There is a very localized rivalry here. And while they might not be a day-to-day worried about each other, when they play each other, that's when it all comes out. And so that's what's the really exciting part about this series. And I can't wait for it to get started tonight in the Bronx. And I can't wait to break it all down for you this weekend on the Bombers Beat podcast. Enjoy.